Welcome to segment 9 in the Choose You This Day Whom You Will Serve series, sports and video games. You know, there's many things in life that are good, but those things that are good can also become destructive. And I'm going to show you that, and we're going to begin with sports. Sports can be a very good thing. Sports has many benefits. Team sports has great amount of benefits. And so let's talk about some of the benefits of sports. Sports and exercise helps you be strong physically and emotionally. When you exercise, it strengthens your organs, your muscles, and just keeps your body being able to function in a very healthy manner. And when you exercise, your brain also releases happy chemicals, which then helps your emotional state. Another good thing about sports is it teaches you teamwork. It teaches you life isn't about just you, that there's a goal to reach, and we're going to do this together as a team. And so in order to reach that goal, we must come together, and every decision is not based on the individual, but is based on the team. And with that also, that goal usually is to win the game. But another benefit of sports is you don't always win the game. So it teaches you about disappointment. And the beauty of all of that is you can take those life lessons and apply them throughout different areas of life. Like when you're on the workplace, out in the workplace, and you're trying to work as a team, it isn't about elevating me and pushing somebody else down. It's about us as a team reaching a goal. In families, you have a family unit. Every decision needs to be about that family team. It isn't about the one individual getting raised up and everything about that individual. It's about let's function as a team. Problem solving is another great benefit, that when something doesn't work, I have to think. I have to problem solve. What can I do different to be able to attain or reach what I am trying to reach? And it also builds socialization skills. It teaches me how to work with somebody that I may kind of rub me a little wrong, may talk to me wrong. And so it will teach me skills so that I can communicate in all different parts of life. Now, another thing with sports is God, our Creator, has given us many talents. He's given us many talents. And He created us as individuals so that we can give that glory back to Him. Well, in sports, we see that as well. It's a time where I can rise myself up, or it's a time when I can give God glory. And I'm going to use the example of the Olympics. You have Simone Biles, who is an amazing gymnast. She has received 11 gold medals, Olympic medals, 30 world championship medals, and has been designated as the most decorated gymnast in the world. And she just is, it's beauty to watch her. But they've also given her the name GOAT. And GOAT stands for greatest of all time. And she's embraced that title. She's embraced it to where she actually has put in rhinestones on her leotard, in rhinestones, a goat. She's had a goat necklace because she claims that title and that glory. I'm going to show you someone opposite of that who God gave more talent. She's a runner. Her name is Sydney McLaughlin. She has gotten a gold medal 2 consecutive years. And I want to read to you her response when she got the medals. It's a quote. "I credit all that I do to God. He's given me a gift. He's given me a drive to just want to continue to improve upon myself. I have a platform, and I want to use it to glorify Him. And so whenever I step onto the track, I always pray, God, let me be a vessel in which you're glorified, whatever the result is. How I conduct myself, how I carry myself, not just how I perform. And so we see that God's given us talents, and we get to choose this day when he's given us those talents, who gets the glory? Am I going to embrace what God's doing in and through me? Or am I going to U-turn it back to God and give him the glory that he rightly deserves? Another example of destruction is, I was reading a book, and it was written by a wife of a football player that was in the NFL. And this gentleman began in high school. He was a professing Christian and was very good at football. So good that he got a scholarship. Well, his goal was to get into the medical field. And he was going to use that football scholarship as a means to help pay for the medical schooling. Well, what happened was he got really good at football and was beginning to build a name for himself. And in that, what it did was it turned his focus from the career he was being led to in the medical field to now striving forward to make a name for himself in the football. And when he got onto the NFL, he wanted to stay there. To them, many people, that's like, we've arrived and we've achieved this goal, and I need to hang on to this no matter what it costs me. And this man never realized what it cost him. Because you get hurt out on the football field, just in case you didn't know. Concussions and beat up bad. Well, what they would do is that when he would be done at the day, they would hand him a bag of pills, so he wouldn't have the pain, and he could keep on going and going and going. Well, after a while, those pain pills started to take over him. It started to destroy him. It started to destroy his relationship with his family. It destroyed him wanting to pursue a medical career. And it even cost him not only his career in football, but it cost him his life, where he died in his 50s. And so it's just kind of sad. He went on to be this football player that the NFL made a lot of money off of this man. But when he was broken, see ya, next. And so when we go to achieve our goals and we raise ourselves up, Scripture tells us we'll be brought low. Another way that it can be very harmful is when a man wants to identify or transgender into a woman. And the problem with that is very often now they're pushing for these men who identify as women to allow them, we talked about in the schools, how they let them into the locker rooms and things like that, but now they let them into women's sports. And we talked earlier that God created a man to be that leader, to be that protector. He made a man's body to be stronger, to be that protector. And so in wanting to make a name for himself, there was just back in 2024 here in the summer in the Paralympics, there was a man who had for years ran as a male. But then he changed and began to identify as a female and began running in female sports so that he could win and get a name for himself. And what happened in the 2024 Paralympics was that it knocked 2 women out of running for the semifinals because he was able to get in that spot. And that's just not okay. It's kind of like we talked about in the segment about Baal. Baal's wanting to lift. It's about me, that me mentality, no matter who I got to step on to make a name for myself. And it's sad that our society is even allowing that. And another thing that we talked about was how we are having too many absent dads. And we saw with the free love movement that many dads are absent out of the home. But we're also seeing that through sports, many dads are absent even though they're in the home. You have men, God called the man to talk, teach, and train his family, to lead his family, to protect his family. Well, Satan wants to get him away from that role. Well, sports has done a great job in that. And it's not bad to sit and watch a game once in a while. Like, it's a form of entertainment and a way to relax. But what happens is when somebody just spends hours and hours and hours and hours a week, then they're distancing themselves from their family, and they're not engaging, and they're distancing themselves from people. And we see today how, through these videos, I hope by the very end, you see how Satan's out there very strategically influencing our youth. Well, as Christians, we need to be spending the time influencing the next generation, discipling the next generation, being there to talk, train, teach. But it's just another way to get a man out. And I think it would really be good for people to sit down and really observe how much time you spend watching sports, talking about sports, researching sports, and then take inventory how much time you're spending with your family and other people. And another thing that's not bad in itself, but Satan has really used for destruction, and that's video games. Video games. And with video games, I was reading a book, and the book was written by a psychologist and also an Army officer. And they were talking about what's going on inside the brain. In the Army, they'll use these simulators, I believe they're called. And what it does is it puts you where you're in the moment. It trains you on what to do at any given moment so that you will be trained in your brain for that. So now when I take you and I place you in the situation, you're able to go back and do what you were trained to do. And I've heard a number of soldiers talk about how if they need to, they can switch into soldier mode into a minute. Okay, so with that, we have to understand that we're training our children, like Call of Duty and these different things. We're training our children on the way to think. And with that, that's, again, true reality. I remember when I was living up in Michigan, and there was this, heard on the news that this gentleman had kidnapped a girl. Well, she escaped, and he saw it on the news, and he went into fight or flight mode. Well, he went into video mode. And they said that the way he went into the police station and was shooting up was actually in the same way that it's done in a video game. And so this training is real. Think about, God tells us to renew our mind. And so Satan is using these different avenues like video games. We're gonna see music, television, and other sources that he's using it to train our mind. And therefore, that's why we need to get in there, and we need to renew our mind in God's word. In God's word. And we need to teach and talk and be training. And so another problem with video games is obesity. You know, we talked about sports, getting out there and getting your body exercise and all that. That's a great thing because our bodies need that. That needs the fresh air. It needs that motivation to keep us strong. Well, when I'm just sitting in front of a screen all day and I'm playing these video games, then I'm not burning calories and we come obese. And obesity is big in our country. And obesity is big in children, and it never was. Like back in my day, we were out running around playing tag and all those different things, and we were healthy. And obesity was very, very rare. And another thing, again, it goes back to the time, like I said, with sports. As a counselor, I hear that's one of the complaints of wives is how much time their husband spends in involved in video games, and they just feel so neglected and disconnected from their spouse. Another issue is aggression. You are seeing aggression in children and even adults when they're asked to stop playing this game. Oh my goodness, it's like you are the enemy. And it's because of that addiction that's happening in their brain, because you know the brain is just fire, 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 and it's not able just to settle down. It's not able just to come and quiet down. It, in order to get those happy chemicals, it has to be at that rate, which has caused a lot of problems. And another thing that is really concerning, and this is very concerning, is the darkness that are in probably, I would say, most video games. We're seeing where, again, the minds are being trained, and you're going into these worlds and these different dimensions, and you're hearing things like portals and gateways, and you're seeing magic and demons and zombies, and we're just shooting at these zombies. But again, it's all a training, and how much darkness is in it. And now some of the later games, they're even able to, what they're saying is, you know, you give us your DNA and we can connect you with your ancient ancestors, and we'll kind of teach you about your ancestries and the gods and the cultures that went along with that. Again, it's that calling back of those ancient gods. And so what they're saying is happening now is there is what's called the bleeding effect. And that's when a person, they're not really able to perceive when they can come out back into the real world and function, and being able to function in the world that they're in. And the two kind of start getting intertwined. And that is where we're seeing that a lot now. And that can be a very scary place to be, because like I said, when you're in a trauma, that fight or flight will shut off, and you know, or your thinking part will shut off, and the fight or flight turns on, and your brain will just go on how you're trained, and they're not able to take what was in a video game and not realize that I'm not supposed to do that out in the real world. So addiction isn't just to the video games, it's with phones, and it's with social media, that you will see families, they're all out gathered around, and everybody has a phone in their face. And so it really is a serious problem that we're facing today. So again, if you don't think this dark stuff is real and it's being infiltrated in every avenue, this is why, again, I'm doing these videos, to make you aware that this is real and the spiritual realm is real, and they are talking and teaching and training through video games. And so again, I challenge you to take a time study. How much time are you spending in front of the video games? How much time are you spending watching sports? Take an honest session. And then I want you to think about, how much time am I spending discipling somebody else, my younger generation? I mean, we want this our country to change, but we don't want to be part of doing the work. Well, nobody wants to be part of doing the work. And that's where we need to change. And so with that, in the next segment, we're going to see not only the darkness is in our video games, but we're going to see how they're in the television, in the movies, and in the music. And this agenda is just flooding in from everywhere. So until next time, may we renew our mind. May we spend time with God and His Word so that we can glorify our Creator. Until next time.